This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Follow to Lead podcast, a Christian Leaders podcast powered by Greg Fay Insurance. If we haven't met yet, my name is Tony and I am your host. Today on the podcast, a deeper dive episode. Just me and you, 15 minutes or less, where we talk about one thing from the interview episode earlier this week, and we dive a little deeper. This week on the podcast, I had 2 of my dear friends, Callie and Roz Picardo. They've got a brand new book out called Healthy Money, and I just love the way they talk about something very specific that I want to get into today called Better Together. If you listen to Callie talk, she mentioned how that's kind of one of the mantras for which they live their life. And if you're a Christian leader who listens to this podcast, then you know that I am all in on intentional community. And I think you should be too. Intentional community forms us. It shapes us. But yet, one of the struggles that I see in Christian leaders so often is the loneliness epidemic. It's something that is real. It's something that haunts so many of us. And yet, God calls us to more. As a matter of fact, as I was preparing for this podcast, I was reminded of Galatians 6. Galatians 6 says this, starting at verse 1, "Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted." Verse 2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. They can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Nevertheless, the one who receives instruction in the word should share all good things with their instructor." Okay, so this whole text is about doing good, and it starts with this idea about if you're caught in sin, if you live by the Spirit, you should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you may also be tempted. Meaning when you're an intentional community, you have to hold each other to accountability. And then verse 2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." So there's this individual responsibility to be active in community. There's an individual responsibility to be intentional about building community. And yet we know we can't do that alone. So this morning, I wanted to just challenge you. Who is carrying your burdens? Who are the people that are leaning in to helping you grow with Christ? I think that there are some definite traits that help us lean into what it means to be better together. As a matter of fact, this morning I have 5 traits of the type of person you should be looking for in your intentional community. 5 traits of the type of person you should be looking for as you think about your intentional community. The people who are going to carry your burdens. Here's number 1. They should be of equal or greater spiritual maturity. Right? Equal or greater spiritual maturity. That's the kind of person that you want to be around. That's the kind of person that you want to make sure that value-wise you understand the Word of God. This person who carries your burdens, it's not the same person who you're going to disciple. This is your peer spiritually. This is your peer in how you walk with Christ. This is the person who can wrestle with some of those deeper questions with you. There is absolutely a time to do something intentional.
Este episodio es presentado por Honda. Descubra la nueva Honda Passport Trail Sport todoterreno. La Passport más todoterreno que Honda haya imaginado jamás. Esta Passport cuenta con mayor altura al suelo, barras de techo en todas sus versiones y neumáticas especialmente diseñados para cualquier terreno. Además, disfruta todos tus viajes con el control de clima de 3 zonas, techo panorámico y opciones como asientos delanteros con calefacción y ventilación. Conoce más en honda.com/Passport.
With someone who's not quite as spiritually mature as you are. But the person who carries your burdens should be of equal or greater value. So that's number one, spiritual maturity. Number two, this person should have a similar mindset as you, a growth mindset as you, or a similar career path. Right? Wherever you're going in your career, whether you're growth minded or whether you're just contentment minded or however that looks for you, you want it to be someone who can match your ambitions. Having that person who's kind of in the same place of life as you are career-wise is also equally important. So we talked about spiritual maturity. We talked about growth mindset. That's 1 and 2. The third one is this. The person has to be able to give you intentional time. One of the things that happens a lot in communities is that they give up the time. They sacrifice the time for the tyranny of the urgent. But if you want to be at a place where you can carry each other's burdens, if you truly want to be better together, you have to make the decision with intentional time. So spiritual maturity, growth mindset. The third one, intentional time. Number 4 is critically important. Number 4 is one of those things that we all know, but sometimes we don't state. They need to be able to hold confidences. They need to be able to hold confidences. And this is important because if you can't trust the person that you're in that community with, if you can't trust the person with your burdens, then you'll never give them. So when you think about who you want to meet with, you have to be able to trust them to hold confidences. And then the last one is you really need to be able to enjoy the person, especially if they're going to hold you accountable. It's really hard to take accountability from someone you don't enjoy. So you have to be able to enjoy the person. Someone that you love to be around, someone that brightens you up, someone that fills your cup. Because if you go to that meeting and it's life draining and not life-giving, you're not going to want to go very long. You're not going to want to give your burdens to someone who drains the energy out of you. So those are my 5 recommendations, right? When you think about who you want to carry your burdens, my 5 recommendations are: make sure they're of the same spiritual maturity as you. Make sure that they're growth-minded or on a similar career path. Make sure that they can give you intentional time. Make sure that they can hold confidences. And last but certainly not least, make sure that you enjoy being around them. You'll never take accountability from someone you don't enjoy being with. I love the way Galatians says that we have to carry each other's burdens. As a leader, you cannot do this alone. Find your people, preferably outside of your company, and let them carry your burdens. As a coach, I do that for leaders all the time. And I'm telling you that we truly are better together. Well, friends, that's our deeper dive episode of today. So thankful for you and this journey that we're on together. As a reminder, check out some of our sponsors: Trent Barger Real Estate, 5-Star Home Services. The links are in the show notes, but I'm telling you, they are great companies to work with, and I love having them as partners on the podcast. So, have an amazing day. Think about who you're going to be better together with, and I will touch base with you all very, very soon. I'm thankful for you, And I'm easy to find at TW Milt. Remember, guys, if you want to follow Jesus, you must be willing to move.